Update: my wife admitted to poking holes in my condoms. Original post: I have no one to talk to about this. I just want to type it out to make more sense of it. My wife, Pam, and I are both 35. We met back in college and have been married for 6 years. Even when we were just good friends, I was always vocal about my indifference to children. I wanted to focus on my career and figure myself out before I even thought about bringing a human into this world. Pam was aware of this when we started dating, but she was slowly starting to get me to ease into the idea of kids. I knew our values were different, and it's my fault for continuing things, but I loved her so much. She is my best friend, and she helped me out of the worst period of my life. About 2 years into our marriage, Pam became pregnant from what I believed to be a freak accident. Obviously, I didn't leave or get mad at her, just wanted to preface that. I took care of her and supported her throughout the entire pregnancy. Pam gave birth to my twin baby girls. They are my world, plain and simple. I feel sad and alone even after just a little work trip without them. Pam became a stay-at-home mother, something I was completely fine with. Recently, Pam became pregnant again, intentionally this time, and she was starting to become distant and had a look of shame whenever I tried to talk or be intimate with her. I have been trying to be the best husband possible, but she always insisted she was fine and tried to distract me by talking about our girls. I came home from work to find Pam slouched over crying in our bed. Our daughters were spending the night with my sister, so we were alone. When I came over to comfort her, she started sobbing about how sorry she was. After I consoled her enough to speak, she explained that she had poked holes in my condoms when we had sex when she first got pregnant with our baby girls. She didn't try to justify herself, just went on about how she was a piece of trash and it deserved me, the girls, or the baby. She was practically hyperventilating. I consoled her for the sake of the baby, but I was, and still am, angry. I've been sleeping in the guest room. I know that this is technically sexual assault, but I hate the idea of only seeing my daughters and baby half the time. Pam hasn't left our room since. I have to make her dinner after work. She looks so broken, saying that she'll move out if that's what I want. She's pregnant, so obviously I don't, but I'm still incredibly mad and sad. I still love her. I've known her for a decade and a half. She's been nothing but loving and supportive, and until now, very transparent with me. I just wanted to type this out to make sure my feelings, which I know are justified, are truly justified. My little girls have been the only reason I'm not breaking down and sobbing. I know I'm weak for thinking about forgetting about this. I'm still thinking about divorcing my wife after the baby's born, but I would still want her to live with me. I know, pathetic. I'm taking the next few days off work. Now for the top comments before reading the update. There's absolutely nothing pathetic about being hurt by and still wanting someone you love. People do stupid, horrible things, especially when they're hyper-focused. It sounds like your wife has issues with her betrayal, and she's attempting to take ownership of what she's done. Before you divorce her, think about if that's what you want. Don't worry about what you think others would expect you to do. If you are willing to forgive her and give her the opportunity to earn your trust back, then that's what you should do. It sounds like you're rightfully pissed off, but it also sounds like you're more concerned with your family and keeping them together. If that's ultimately what you want and you can live with it, then that's what you should do. If you know you can't get past it, then make the necessary changes for what you're able to accept. If it's divorce, it's divorce. My point here is that you don't have to leave because you believe that's what is expected or what you should do. If you leave, make it because it's what you actually want. Also, give it some time before you make a decision. You don't want to decide your future when you feel angry, hurt, and betrayed. I really hope things work out for you. I wish you the best. Thank you for the take based on reality. It feels like too many people get too hung up on doing what's expected of them. Real life is never so black and white, even for situations where one has been clearly wronged. I agree. That was excellent advice, and you're totally right about things not being black and white. Reddit is notorious, in my opinion, for having these really strong right and wrong takes, and life is just so much more complicated than that. I'm a woman, child-free by choice. I've always been so careful with my birth control, and I don't think I would be able to come back from finding out a partner sabotaged it. I also don't know that, in your situation, with children I'm attached to and another on the way, I would be willing to append my life and have them in primary custody of the person who did that. But again, I am not sure I could forgive it. I don't have advice regarding divorce or working it out. I will say that I would consider a vasectomy, particularly if you decide to stay. Even if you are able to forgive it, I don't think you should trust that again. The absolute hell with him considering a vasectomy. She should be the one sterilized, if anything. Why should he be sterilized because he was the victim of sexual assault? Now for the updates. Mini update. I'm going to bed. This entire situation is draining. I realized that I need to talk to my wife about this immediately and can't just leave things in the air. I will also look into getting therapy immediately. Thanks again for your advice. Update. This is a given, but thank you for taking the time to read and respond to the ramblings of my current situation. From giving me advice and telling me to suck it up, thank you. I'm 100% going to couples therapy with Pam and also therapy for myself. She's doing better, not as stressed out as she was before. No, I am not throwing Pam out of the house while she is 5 months pregnant. She's still being a recluse in our room, making me have to do her usual responsibilities. I was able to have a nice outing with my little girls. We saw Moana too. Lol. I guess I'm just here to say that I'm doing fine and we'll be getting professionals to help us through this. The simple matter of fact is that Pam betrayed me, but I still love her so much. Some people were telling me to DNA test my children, but there have been no signs of any affairs. I don't think I could even handle that kind of news if it were true. Even if we do end up getting divorced, I will never tell our family about what Pam did. She's still the mother of my children, and I don't want my family to think less of her. The same goes for my daughters. I don't want them to think they're the product of something like that, and I especially don't want them to think that I resent them. That's all, I guess. You're being an extremely generous person in this situation. I'm glad you and Pam are doing the work with therapy and trying to bridge this situation. Personally, the fact that your wife is still being a recluse and having you take care of everything at home really grinds my gears. She was the one who wronged you, and somehow she is the one acting like the victim and withdrawing from everything? The shoe really should be on the other foot, and she should be the one giving you space to process everything. I do think that you need to allow yourself to feel the emotions you want to feel. You seem to be doing the guy thing of being very outwardly focused on making sure your girls are taken care of, that the household is continuing to run, and solving problems that come up. I'm concerned you're focusing on everyone else so you don't have to deal with your own emotions, and eventually, you'll hit a boiling point. One small thing Pam does or doesn't do will set you off, and you'll explode on her. Then suddenly, you're the angry man yelling at your wife, and you're the bad guy. Don't put yourself in that position. I agree with all of this. OP, you have to ask, why did she tell you when she did? Why has she closed herself off to you? There are more details to uncover here, so please be prepared for it as best you can. OP, I am a mother to 3, and while I would never do what your wife did, there is also no way in hell I would shut my husband out and force him to do all my jobs as a stay-at-home mom on top of his actual job while I throw myself a pity party for wronging him. I'm imagining her guilt has made her depressed. Not that it makes any of what she did better, but it would explain why she's acting that way now. The way I see it, it's perfectly normal for her to feel bad about it, but I don't like her locking herself in her room and playing the victim. She stays there crying and moping around while you, who were lied to, have to get on with it all. If your wife feels so guilty, she should do something about it. I find it terrible that she plays the victim role. You were hurt by her actions, but you are the one who comforts her. That is wrong. You say couples therapy and that you're going to therapy, but you don't say whether your wife is seeing a therapist. That's an essential part of this. It would be wrong of me to try to say what's going on in her head, but it seems apparent that there's something wrong. The root cause of her desperate action may not have anything to do with you. For example, if a person were afraid of losing their partner, they might do something to try to keep them. But having a fear so big that it could motivate her to do something so life-changing, it seems there's a serious problem there, whether depression or some other issue. You need to start exploring this before she has the baby in order to prepare. Depression is seldom cured by childbirth. Next story. My 38 male wife, 35 female, lost a lot of weight to gain the attention of her work crush. How do I move forward? After we had our kids, my wife gained a lot of weight, about 80 pounds. Honestly, I was fine with it. I thought she was still hot, and my desire for intimacy never waned. For a while, she was fine with her weight too. Fast forward 5 years, and all of a sudden, my wife gets really into fitness and nutrition. She buys a Peloton, goes on a strict diet, and loses all the weight, and then some. She looks like she did when I met her in her early 20s. She looks great, but like I said, I thought she looked great heavy too. Then one day last week, she comes home from work and I can tell something is really bothering her. I ask what's wrong, but she's evasive and distant. This lasts a few days before she finally breaks. She tells me that the reason she was so determined to lose weight was that she wanted attention from a guy at work she has a crush on. She said that all the women have a crush on this guy, and she just wanted his attention. Well, apparently she got too much of it on the day she came home so upset. He had apparently been flirting with my wife for a few weeks, and that day he asked her if she wanted to have dinner with him after work at a restaurant that just so happens to be in a hotel. He heavily implied that they could get a room afterward or even skip the restaurant and just get room service. She tells me that up to this point, it was all just fantasy in her head, but now it was real, and she snapped out of it. She realized that she'd gone way too far. She declined his invitation, of course, and felt she needed to confess what she'd done to me. I was crushed and still am. First, I'm actually upset she told me. I know this is some form of cheating, but I didn't suspect anything. She could have just kept this to herself and not passed her burden on to me. So the thought comes to my mind that maybe she wants me to dump her so she can be with this guy, and that's why she is telling me. So I ask her that and she breaks down crying. That's not what she wants. She says she loves me and just wanted to be honest with me and apologize. Nothing physical happened, I'm pretty sure of it. I can track her phone and also have a pretty free access to it. She never hides it, leaves it everywhere, and that phone never leaves work. I suppose she could be cheating on her lunch break and leave the phone, but I just don't think she'd leave the phone and not be available for the kids. So I don't think I want the divorce. I love her, and we have kids. But it's just eating at me that she did all the work she did to be attractive for another man. I don't know where to go or even what to ask of her. I just need some advice. You need couples counseling ASAP. Without that, a clear path forward will be tough to find unless something else happens. No, this is over. She has been emotionally cheating for months and was very close to taking it further. This would not be some overnight journey. She has been actively going after the guy's attention and flirting with him for months now. A bit of attention or harmless flirting this is not. This is well beyond that. And the flirting got heavy enough that the guy proposed a hotel hookup with a married woman. Unless she was hiding that she was married from him, which only makes this even worse. This is well beyond getting any couples counseling. He needs to simply get out. There is absolutely no excuse or valid reason for going after another man or woman actively for months at a time and flirting to beat the competition at work. Not to mention, the husband has been nothing but supportive. He continued to love her, said she was still hot, and was only supportive of her weight gain/loss. This is just not acceptable from your wife or husband. Honestly, the main thing that should stick out is that she did all of this to get the attention of another man. She claims she didn't go through with it, but honestly, it sounds like trickle truth. Personally, I don't think I could be with someone who committed so heavily for what I imagine must have been an extended period of time to lose 80 pounds for another man, when the man she had loved her no matter her weight. Think about it. All that time she was focusing on her health, she was really focusing on getting another guy. Don't matter if she went through with it or not. I'm waiting for the update of, turns out my wife actually did go up to his hotel room, and it's only when they moved from foreplay to sex did she realize how wrong it all was. She definitely needs therapy individually to explore what caused that behavior, then couples counseling to work on being a better couple together. If you can't move on after that, at least you tried. Last story. My parents named me after a fantasy TV show character, and it's deeply affected my life. I was born just after the first season of the show. They decided to name me after one of the main characters, but it's not her actual name. Instead, it's her title. It's pretty dumb. I've been bullied and made fun of because of it in school. You can probably guess what it is. It's from a dark fantasy TV show with lots of swords and a big throne. When I was growing up, I liked the name because of how unique it is. I remember a teacher asking me if I was telling the truth when I told her my name when I was about 6-ish. I didn't really understand stuff like that back then. I'm considering getting my name changed, but it feels a little wrong to do so. I do feel like it is my own name and my parents did name me that. Because of my name, I got into horses and horseback riding. Emulation, I suppose. I am who I am because of it, but the bullying recently is getting to me. Lots of riding jokes. I don't hate my parents or anything, but I did feel angry at them today over it. Now for the comments. Wow, the Khaleesi's are old enough to post on Reddit? Boy, am I old. Recently saw Moana 2, and when the credits started rolling, one of the child voice actors' name is Khaleesi. Oof, my friend named her kid Daenerys before the end of the show. She's probably in middle school by now. I dislike my name too. It's unisex, so very often people who haven't met me assume I'm the opposite gender. My name is more often used as a nickname, so people assume I have a real name other than that. I can't complain to my parents because they said it was a name my late uncle who died when I was 2 suggested. It came from a Beatles song. Many years ago, after the mini-series Roots was shown, there was a couple in my town who named their son Kunta Kinte. Years later, in the personal section of the paper, I saw a public notice that said Kunta Kinte wanted to change his given name to John. I hope his parents didn't do a reverse Roots and whip him for insisting his name is John and not Kunta Kinte. Would have been pretty fun if it changed it to Toby though. This post should be pinned in every baby name sub. Yeah, I feel like some parents don't get the idea of just how impactful a name actually is. It's the child who will actually be called that. Update. Am I the a-hole for bringing up just how much I actually do for our household to my wife? Original post. Can't believe I actually have a reason to post something on Reddit, but here I am. My wife 41 female and I 42 male have been married for 15 years. I apparently surprised her by being capable of doing household chores and tasks, which I didn't think much of. My mom always asked me to help out with chores when I was a kid, so I didn't think it was beneath me or anything. I do think I inherited her need to clean excessively, like it's so bad that I can't eat until a mess is dealt with. My mom is an amazing cook. My aunt was a literal chef at a fancy hotel, and my dad loved having barbecues. It was pretty natural to learn from them and pick up a thing or two. The only thing I didn't pick up was how to make a decent cup of tea or coffee. I'm genuinely awful at it. It got to a point where I was handling most of the household chores and taking care of cooking, which I prefer anyway since she comes home exhausted. I've been asking our children, 11 female and 9 male, to do some minor tasks around the house and hopefully teach them this sort of thing too. She has a group of friends who hang out regularly. This time, it was her turn to host the group at her home. I offered to take our children out for the day and it was all set. Before we left, I had to finish up some things for work. The office space is practically on top of our living room, so I could hear what they were talking about the entire time. One of the friends asked how she always kept our house so spotless, and my wife just bragged about how she was responsible for it all. Then they all started talking about their gripes with their marriages. A common theme was how unhelpful their spouses were. I felt pretty uncomfortable, so I just left the office and went out with the kids. I came back after they had left for the night and acted as normal until we got to our bedroom. I asked her what was up with that conversation they had and pointed out that I did the cooking and cleaning in our marriage. She told me not to take it personally and that she just wanted to fit in with the struggles of her friends. Now I just feel unappreciated, especially since I don't clearly remember any genuine gratitude for what I do from her. Since then, she's been pretty short with me. She says I'm weaponizing what I'm doing against her and holding it over her head. I don't expect her to compliment me each time I clean or defend me religiously. Just a little, my husband is pretty helpful actually, he does his share, would be nice. I can't help but feel like her friends think I'm some sort of deadbeat who comes home to relax and neglect her. Now for the top comments before reading the updates. Not the a-hole. You're not weaponizing what you're doing against her. You're just insisting that she doesn't lie about you and badmouth you to her friends, which is exactly what she is doing. She knows that she is in the wrong here, hence her hostile response. She doesn't have a reasonable defense for her behavior. Personally, I wouldn't let this go. Her friends are people you will have to socialize with from time to time, and therefore what they think about you does matter. Love it. His wife is accusing him of weaponizing his competence. That's a fresh take on here. It is even more messed up that she is bad-mouthing her own husband to fit in with her friends, when in truth, she knows her husband goes above and beyond for her and her family. I would not have reacted as well as you. You're a better man than me, not the a-hole. I didn't want to ruin her day or make things awkward with her friends, so I only asked her about what happened the night in our bedroom. Like I said, you're a better man than me. I'd have dropped the bomb and bounced. You did the right thing, I think. Are you a stay-at-home father? We both work. She makes about $100K a year while I make around $70K. She earns more, but she's definitely not the only income in our household. What makes my job great is that my boss lets me have a lot of flexibility, so I can work from home and take care of the house and kids as long as I give him a heads up. Sounds like she needs a sample of being in charge of everything for a few weeks. I don't think she could do it, purely because of her job. I've got a lot of flexibility and leeway with my boss that allows me to do whatever I need to do at home or handle our children. She doesn't have that benefit and genuinely comes home about 6 to 7 p.m. exhausted. Now for the first update. I'm pretty shocked this post went as viral as it did, and I tried my best to talk to my wife yesterday. I just can't believe this is the woman I married. I tried speaking with her, explaining that while what she did wasn't the worst thing, it still wasn't a nice thing to do. She didn't appreciate me bringing it up again and told me to suck it up and stop complaining about one mistake. She apologized, but it sounded like she just was tired of dealing with the issue. I could see her getting heated and on the verge of starting an argument, so I backed off and changed the subject. I asked if we could adjust our responsibilities at home to be more balanced since most of the household management falls to me. Almost everything, about 90%, like cooking, cleaning, and even planning our date nights and family vacations, relies on me. I do think it's an issue she gets to come home and simply say she's tired. She then got in my face, saying I had no right to lecture her about chores since I'm home most of the time. She refused to listen and insisted that our current arrangement works best for our situation. She threw it in my face that she's the primary earner and said that balances everything out. Even this morning, she was visibly annoyed, coming downstairs in a bad mood. I'm pretty sure our kids noticed it too, but I drove them to school after they got ready. When I got back, I saw that my wife had left her packed lunch on the kitchen counter. So now I'm sitting here feeling like the woman I've known for 15 years hates me. She's been ignoring my texts and attempts to call her. I guess I'll have to address this issue properly even if it makes her angry. I can't just let her act like this, especially in front of our children. She's not entitled to be acting the way she's acting, given how you realistically do all the housework. She's an adult woman throwing a fit like a child because she was called out and lying to her friends about the amount of effort she puts in around the house. Maybe if she's offended by you calling her out, she should step up and help out more instead of whining at you for being right. I read this with a gender switched and yikes. It kind of does sound worse. Wife is a major a-hole. Any disrespectful one to speak that way about her husband like that and continue to double down. My mother-in-law did this, and when called out more, she doubled down then cried that she doesn't have a family because no one backed her up. Some people are too far up their own behind to smell anything but crap. Is she cheating? We haven't had any reason to doubt each other in our relationship, so no. I don't think she even has the energy to bother trying. Second update. I think I'm just done at this point. For the first time, I did something I've never done before. I went through her phone while she was sleeping. We both know each other's passwords, so it wasn't difficult. Some of the comments about possible cheating got to me and I felt paranoid about the situation. Instead, I found a group chat with some of her work friends, different from the friends she had over recently. It was filled with non-stop mockery of me and the things I do for her. She told them how embarrassed she feels to be with me, saying I dote on her like a parent and don't feel like her husband. The lunches I pack for her are humiliating because I add sweets and treats I know she likes. Some of her coworkers teased her about the snacks I pack, and she admitted to just throwing them out at work. She has no issue eating them at home, but at work, she throws out my baking. She also had some pretty hurtful things to say about me in the chat, things I don't even have the courage to type out here. One of the pictures she shared was edited to make it look like I was scrubbing a bathroom tile in a 1960s housewife dress, as if to mock me for doing chores. I just closed her phone and left the bedroom. In the morning, I confronted her about the chat and its contents, which made her panic. I focused on our kids, taking care of their needs, and left her to herself. It's not like she'd have appreciated a kid's lunch anyway. Now she's been texting me nonstop at the office, but I think I've lost all respect for her and what she's become. Not only does she find me overbearing and embarrassing as a husband, but she mocks me to her friends and shares sensitive details about our relationship with them. This will probably be the last update, as I don't think she can come back from this. We just celebrated our 15th anniversary last month, and now after seeing what my wife truly thinks of me, I feel like a fool. I hope she ends up with some slob who sits on his butt drinking beer while she does all the cooking and cleaning, since that's apparently her idea of what a husband should be like. Divorce her and push for full custody of your children for their sake. She neither wants to do chores or have a partner who does chores for her. There's no way she can keep a household fit for kids like that. Preach. She needs to spend a few days on Reddit reading every story about every deadbeat husband. She had no idea what she had. I bet she LARPs as the wife of a deadbeat online, since she claimed to do all the housework to her coworkers. She just wants to be told that she's an incredible wife to an undeserving husband. Sorry it came to this. Good luck moving forward, OP. Next story. Am I the a-hole for refusing to include my grandparents in my life after years of them treating me and my siblings like we were bastards? So I'm a 16-year-old girl, and my parents, 48 male and 50 female, had an affair that resulted in my birth. My dad's family was outraged and cut him off after he divorced his first wife. They never acknowledged me or my siblings, 14 female, 11 female twins, and 9 female, as their grandkids. When I was younger, it hurt seeing my dad's other kids getting outings and a lot of presents at Christmas. But once I hit my early teens, I just kind of stopped caring. Adding to that, I hated how they treated my mom, so I really didn't want much to do with them. My dad has never forced us to spend time with them, thankfully. It's not like they cared much about us anyway. Once my dad's other kids were old enough, they left to live with their mom and stopped visiting much. I was actually glad to have all that negativity gone, honestly. Around the time I turned 12, it seemed like they had a change of heart and started trying to get close to us. But it didn't work. Not even with my sister Anna, who is the sweetest girl ever. I guess calling kids bastards and treating them like unwanted things kind of makes them not want you around. Crazy, right? Anyway, I'm in my school's science club, and we recently had a big event. My club and I got a table and did a presentation of all the things we made. I was super excited. About a week after the event, I was talking about it while my dad's dad was there. He turned to me and asked why I didn't invite him. I told him I only wanted my family there. He said he is family, and I replied, "Are you though?" Because I thought I was just some bastard kid you didn't claim until only 4 years ago. He got mad, but my dad stepped in. Now I'm getting messages from his other grandkids calling me an a-hole, but I don't think I am. Am I? The saying you reap what you sow seems to fit here. Grandparents didn't care about you until the older ones don't have time for them. You don't owe them a relationship now that they're lonely. I often tell people who do something really crappy to others that there will be a price to pay. Your situation with your grandparents is just such a situation. Treating kids like that, blaming them for something the adults did, is unforgivable in my opinion. I agree with your decision to not include your grandparents in your life and would do the same thing. Sometimes people need to learn that just because you've had a change of heart doesn't mean the people you've hurt had one too. and learn they can't just get back into someone's life after years of treating them like dog excrement. I'm not gonna tell you this should be your stance forever. It's up to you, of course. But if this were me, I would require a lot more effort on their part than just suddenly acting like you've always been family. Good luck, whatever you decide. The real a-holes here are the parents. They are twice the a-holes, one for the affair and twice for allowing grandparents to have access to the children. Last story. Am I the a-hole for laughing at my ex's mother and telling her how much child support I've been receiving? My ex and I parted ways back in 2023, and ever since, communication with him and his family has been rocky. He wasn't interested in providing for our child, 6, so I had to apply for child maintenance. He currently owes around £1,300 in child support, but has only paid about £120 in total. I've never been on good terms with his parents. Among other things, they asked me not to apply for child maintenance, saying their son couldn't afford it. So you could say we're not exactly friends. Here's where the problem started. They recently found out about several concerts I'm planning to attend. While I did post about it on social media, they don't have access to my accounts, so I'm not sure how they found out. During a recent child drop-off, my ex's mother got very upset over my concert plans and started lecturing me about wasting the child support on myself, and so on. I couldn't hold it in and started laughing, which only made her angrier. Once she finished ranting and I stopped giggling, I told her that her son's child support wouldn't even cover the travel cost of my trip, and that she could rest assured I don't live off of it. I explained that it wouldn't even be enough to raise my child, let alone support us both. I probably should have left it at that, but I added that so far, we've received about £10 a month. I said that without doing the exact math. Truthfully, it's about £11. I added that it doesn't even cover the cost of the fruit my child eats, so neither of them has any say in how I spend my own money. For context, I work full-time and support my child and myself with my own earnings. She called me a liar and stormed off. Now their whole family is upset with me, saying I was rude and demanding I apologize. They also said I was an a-hole for mentioning the exact amount of child support, since it puts my ex in a bad light. My friends are divided. Some found the situation hilarious, while others think it was fair to stand up for myself, but say I shouldn't have told the exact amount. In my defense, I had no idea it was such a sensitive topic. I genuinely thought she didn't care about the amount and was just upset that I was getting any money at all. Also, for what it's worth, my child didn't witness this interaction. She was already inside, and I'm sure it would have gone differently if she had been present. So, am I the a-hole for laughing and telling her how much child support I've been receiving? Nope. I told everyone about the £10 per month my kids were expected to live off of to anyone who told me I was living off of my ex's hard-earned dosh. If he's a deadbeat, make sure everyone knows about it, because I'm not going to work my butt off to maintain my children in a good lifestyle whilst he takes the credit. My ex was similarly upset because I set the record straight. Apparently, I caused his manliness hurt he feels, or something I couldn't give a crap about. OP not a-hole. Yes, when I was attacked for stealing his tax return, I pointed out that that only happens when there are arrears. Oh, so he's paid up now? Yes, for 2018. I've already paid for what the kids need. When his tax return comes, I buy some extras. I was accused of stealing our tax refund. Ex thought he was being smart, changing his address to his mother's. About a week after he did that, I got the refund at our house because it was addressed to both of us. He also thought he was being so smart when he closed the checking account. He forgot about the joint savings account. I deposited a check in there and gave him a check for half. He blew up because he thought he deserved 60% since he made more money, but we both signed the form and were both liable for any taxes due. Fair is fair. He told his family I went to his mother's house and took the check from the counter, saying I left my red hot lipstick on a glass. When I heard that, I laughed so hard I about peed myself. If he had gotten that check, I would never have seen any of it. Am I the a-hole for considering divorce over my wife's ex-behavior? I've been with my wife for 6 years, married for 1.5 years. Her son, let's call him Jake, is 9. He used to call me Dad, and we had a great bond. 5 months ago, his biological dad showed up. Since then, Jake has been repeating things his dad says and constantly insulting me. I went from he is my dad to he is just my mom's husband. Ha ha ha. I talked to my wife about it, but she thinks he's just a kid and that I should let it go. Last week, Jake called me because his dad, who was supposed to pick him up from school and then take him shopping for his mom's birthday, bailed on him. I stepped in, took Jake shopping, and we had a good half day together. I even paid for the gift he picked out. When I dropped him off at his dad's, the man was sleeping and had completely forgotten to pick Jake up. On my wife's birthday, Jake lied and said it was his dad who took him shopping and paid for the gift, despite his dad never having a job or paying child support. His dad graciously accepted all the compliments and even made fun of the gift I gave my wife. My wife, however, didn't say a word to him. After the party, when Jake went to his dad's, I told my wife I was upset that she didn't stand up for me. She rolled her eyes and said, "Why? Because he was more thoughtful than you?" I told her the truth about what happened, but she didn't believe me. I even showed her my credit card statement and phone logs, proving that Jake called me on Tuesday. Frustrated, I left to stay with my brother because I can't be around someone who doesn't trust me. Here's the thing. My brother thinks I'm right. My mother-in-law has messaged me a million times, saying it's a misunderstanding and that I'm overreacting. My wife hasn't apologized. She came over yesterday and said she feels stuck because she doesn't want to make her son feel bad about his dad. She keeps saying, "He is just a kid, and you should be the bigger person." When I asked if she was apologizing, she said no. She insisted it was just a misunderstanding and added that she's seen how much her ex has been trying. Then she said I was acting like a needy man baby. I told her that if she thinks so highly of her ex and doesn't see my efforts, she should leave because she clearly doesn't get my point. She doesn't seem to care about any of the effort I put in. Her response? That's exactly what I'm saying. You're acting like a needy baby who needs a reward. You need to man up if you love me. So now I'm torn. Should I start talking to a lawyer because there is no point in working on this? Or am I overreacting and should we try counseling? Now for the top comments before reading the mini update. Start detailing your life now. I feel bad for the kid but not the a-hole. Your wife didn't apologize and didn't appreciate your effort to help her son. I'd say she deserves the deadbeat ex. Yeah, I was gonna say this. Clearly the ex is getting into her head, probably also in her pants, convincing her that you're not man enough and that you're wimpy for having feelings. If I were you, I'd let her be with her ex, who has done nothing for her and is taking credit for the work you're doing. You're not man enough for her? Cool, that's fine. Don't worry about it. Do her the favor of letting her be with someone who is man enough. Then, in a couple of months, when her son is miserable, she's being let down and neglected, and no one's taking care of either of them, she'll realize how good she had it with you. If she wants you to be like her ex so bad, let her be with him. The man up comment from her is the most insulting of all. Her deadbeat ex isn't a man. He's a literal cockroach. He abandoned his kid, and now that he's back, he forgets to pick him up and sleeps through it. He's a trash dad and a trash excuse of a man. Meanwhile, Opie has raised his boy since he was 3 years old, went out of his way to pick him up when Biodad forgot, and spent a half day with him. That's how a man behaves. That she's trying to pit Opie against her deadbeat ex just shows that she belongs with her garbage ex. I feel terrible for the poor kid though, not the a-hole Opie. While I understand her desire for there to be a bond between her son and her ex, I do not understand her total disrespect for you. She didn't believe you, called you a liar, refused to apologize, gaslit you, and then called you names. She's an a-hole. By the way, your stepson used you, lied about you, and embarrassed you. At that age, these are still a-hole moves. The ex is a piece of garbage a-hole. Unless you enjoy this level of disrespect from the three of them, you're going to have to leave. Not one of them will ever back down or treat you with respect if you become their punching bag. Not the a-hole. $10 bio dad told his son to say he bought it. $20 says that the divorce was a one-sided decision and she only married OP because she didn't want her or her son to be alone and broke. $50 wife and deadbeat dad still sleeping together. Update. Thank you everyone for your input. I really appreciate it. I'm contacting an attorney this week to help me with the divorce process. I can't continue living like this. Next story. Am I the a-hole for ruining my boyfriend's birthday dinner because I didn't accept to pay for everyone? I, 20 female, have been dating my boyfriend Ryan, 21 male, for about a year. For his birthday this year, I wanted to do something special. So I told him I'd take him out to a nice dinner, just the two of us, and I'd cover the bill. He was super excited and agreed. I made a reservation at a nice restaurant, put on a nice dress, and was excited to see his reaction. When I got there, I was surprised to see that Ryan had invited his best friend, who also brought his girlfriend. He hadn't mentioned anything about them coming. I was caught off guard, but thought, why not have a nice couple's dinner? The whole time, his best friend and his girlfriend ordered a ton of appetizers and multiple drinks each. I started panicking a little because I realized the bill was going to be way more than I'd planned for. Toward the end, Ryan leaned over and said, "Don't forget, you said you'd cover it." I told him I'd agreed to pay for his dinner because it was his birthday, not for another couple I didn't even know was coming. He said it's rude to invite people to dinner and not pay for them. At this point, I was already thinking, what the heck is wrong with you? And told him it's ruder to invite people to a dinner someone else is paying for without telling them first. I was so angry I just went quiet and waited for the waiter to bring the check. When the check came, I paid for my meal at his, then told his buddy he should cover the bill for himself and his girlfriend. Both of them looked at me like I'd insulted them and said I embarrassed them in front of the server. Ryan even called me cheap and said I'd ruin his birthday. All of this happened last Saturday, and since then, Ryan has been giving me the cold shoulder, only responding to my messages with insults about how I embarrassed him in front of his friend. Now I'm thinking about breaking up because he hasn't spoken to me in a week even though I wanted to apologize. Maybe some of you have advice for me? I wish you hadn't paid and had just left. Or at least only paid for your own food and left. He's using you. He's a nasty freeloading user. Now he's trying to guilt you into thinking you should have paid for his friends? You've got to be kidding me. Do not see him again. He's not a good person. He's a prick. Tell him that. You deserve better. You'll meet better. Don't settle for pricks. His whole behavior points to a D-head. And the second she tries to break up, the gaslighting will begin. Honestly, I'm starting to think you're right. His behavior has been so selfish, and I can already feel him trying to make me feel guilty about the situation. If I try to break up, I'm sure he'll turn it around on me. It's exhausting, and I'm realizing I deserve way better than this. I normally wouldn't suggest this, but you should just ghost him and forget him. He's already giving you the silent treatment. If he says anything, just say, "Oh, you're talking to me? I thought you broke up with me." I've already moved on and really don't want to talk to you ever again. Not the a-hole. Your boyfriend, his friend, and his friend's girlfriend are crappy, and you need to reevaluate whether or not your boyfriend cares about you, or if he's just using you. That was very rude and presumptuous in all three of their parts. Now he isn't talking to you over it? He's made it pretty clear the only thing he cares about is how you financially benefit him and his friends. Screw them all. You're better off now. You're too young to waste time on people who treat you like that. Thank you for your perspective. It really helped. You're right. His behavior was disrespectful and it feels like he and his friends took advantage of me. I wanted to make his birthday special, but instead, he called me cheap and hasn't spoken to me since. I realize now I shouldn't waste my time on someone who doesn't value me. It's time to focus on myself and find someone who treats me better. Not the a-hole. Sounds like this relationship has run its course. I'm starting to think you're right. His behavior was so off, and I've been feeling more disrespected than appreciated. I wanted to do something nice for him, and instead, he made it all about him and his friends. I think this relationship has run its course too. It's tough, but I know I deserve better. Next story. Am I the a-hole for buying a house without consulting my girlfriend of 4 months? I, 37 male, am a single dad with 2 kids, 16 male and 14 male. I met my girlfriend, 32 female, back in February. We dated casually and non-exclusively until September, and then we began dating exclusively. My girlfriend has indicated that she wants to have kids. She has no kids currently. I'm definitely open to that, but I've told her it would only be after dating for at least a couple of years. I've been looking to buy a new home. I absolutely hate living where I am now. I bought it when my kids were little, and it was convenient back then. However, my work is 30 minutes away, and a boys' school is 45 minutes away. Recently, a house came on the market in the neighborhood 5 minutes from work and 10 to 15 minutes from the boys' school. It was listed well below market value. My realtor called me, I saw it the same day, and I made an offer. The offer was accepted. I told my girlfriend the good news, but she was less than thrilled. She asked why I didn't consult her. The reality is that I've been looking for about a year, and houses move very quickly in this market. Often they don't stay available for more than a day if they're reasonably priced. I had to act fast. I explained all of this, but she's still upset. I talked to my sister, 34 female, about it. She said she understands my girlfriend's frustration. My sister explained that she was in a similar position 2 years ago. She was a single woman in her early 30s, looking to get married and have kids soon. In those 2 years, she met her husband, got married, and had a child. From her perspective, my girlfriend might be thinking this is the home her future kids are potentially going to be raised in. I can see her point, but I feel it's a little premature to expect that I would consult my girlfriend of 4 months before buying a home. That feels like moving too fast from my perspective. Am I the a-hole? Not the a-hole. You've only been exclusive since September. Sure, she might be imagining a life with you, but that doesn't mean she has a say in your housing now. True. As a single dad, your primary responsibility is to your children. You have the right to make choices that prioritize your and your kids' well-being. Not the a-hole. You're barely a couple. Honestly, this is a red flag that should be heeded. I wouldn't have kids with this woman without setting up some legal protections for your own kids first. If she's this upset so early in the relationship, I wonder what she'll demand down the road. And I'm saying this as a woman. OP is a father first, and he did what's best for his family. Moving closer to work and school is a smart decision. His girlfriend's feelings shouldn't override that. Not the a-hole. Not the a-hole. While it's always ideal to communicate openly in a relationship, after just 4 months, buying a house might not necessarily require consultation if you're financially independent. However, it could cause tension if your girlfriend feels excluded, especially if you've been building a future together. It's important to discuss major decisions with a partner, particularly if the relationship is serious. But ultimately, it depends on the dynamics and expectations you've set. Last story. Am I the a-hole for threatening to divorce my wife if she didn't become a proper homemaker in the next month? My wife and I have been married for 4 years. I'm 33 and she's 32. Her name is Steph. Steph is a stay-at-home wife, and since we got married, she has been incredibly inconsistent with household labor. I work a physically demanding job, and it would really help if Steph could at least cook dinner more than once or twice a week. Instead, she sits at the dinner table, hunched over her phone for hours a day. She's completely addicted to it but refuses to even have a conversation about this. Now, about twice a year, I have an opportunity to visit a foreign country for work. The nature of the work is to supervise construction and instruct the workers there. The compensation for these trips is always fantastic, and Steph appreciates it when I go because I bring home a pretty fat paycheck afterward. 3 weeks ago, I was about to depart for 2 weeks in one of these trips. At around 10 a.m., I texted Steph and said that time was tight, but I'd be home at 12:30 to pick up my luggage. I asked her if she could make me something for lunch, and she agreed. I emphasized that I only had about 10 minutes to eat before heading to the airport. At 11 a.m., I texted her again saying I'd be home as planned at 2:30. Again, she said, okay. At 12 p.m., I texted her that I was leaving. I walked in the door at exactly 12:30, only to find her sitting at the dinner table, hunched over her phone. When I walked in, she gave me this bewildered look. She had done literally nothing. Nothing was cooking. Steph stood up in a panic and said she'd start making me lunch, but I told her it was pointless. She sheepishly apologized and I responded, "Don't say sorry. Just be less freaking useless." This made her very upset. I just picked up my luggage, left, and went to the airport. I managed to pick up some food at the airport, but I really would have liked a home-cooked meal before eating out every day for 2 weeks. I got home last week and Steph was still angry. She said that what I said to her was over the top. I asked what she had been doing for those 2 weeks, and she insisted that she was super busy. See Instagram and Netflix. I gave her an ultimatum. She has 1 month, until January 10th, to get her act together and be a proper homemaker. I told her that if she couldn't, I would divorce her. Steph was super upset, and for the past week she has been sulking. Again, see Instagram and Netflix. She told her family about it, and her mother basically blamed me for Steph's lack of direction in life. I know it's nonsense that a 32-year-old woman needs her hand held to do anything, but was I being ridiculous with my ultimatum? Why can't she go back to work? Why does she have to stay home? I think it's fair to say if you're not going to do the duties of a stay-at-home wife, then you need to work. Yeah, mother-in-law's blaming him for her lack of direction. Then maybe she should go find a direction. I came into this thinking you were going to be the a-hole, maybe complaining about how she cooks and cleans or something. But reading that she only makes 2 meals a week and didn't even bother preparing you one last lunch on your last day in town when you specifically asked her to and gave her 2 heads up that you were on your way home? Not the a-hole. The fact that she was glued to her phone makes this even worse, because phones have clocks on them. If she knows she loses track of time easily, she could have set an alarm for 12 and had something ready for you by 12:30.